Police work, very stressful. But can a police officer bring a workers' compensation claim for stress? Takes us to this week's case. Involves a real police officer in Grand Chute, Wisconsin, a gal by the name of Linda Burt-Redding. Now, Linda, at one point in time, had to confront a man who was a member of a gang. He was wielding a knife, making threats against various motorists. She wound up shooting him. After that took place, the man, his family, and the other gang members began threatening Linda. She said she had received threats not only to her own life, but to the well-being of her son and to her family, and that she became very upset, very anxious, very distressed, basically suffering post-traumatic stress syndrome. She said this is really the pits, but then she brought claim for workers' compensation and sought damages in the form of at least compensation for the lost time that she would have and for the mental anguish that she was going through. Well, this found its way to a workers' compensation board. There the board looked at what was going on, and the board said, you know what, Linda, believe it or not, police work is very stressful. In this instance, we find that the stress that you were subjected to is basically par for the course. It's what's to be anticipated. It was not outside the ordinary kind of stress, and accordingly, we deny your workers' compensation case. We do not find that you obtain workers' compensation benefits. Okay, she wasn't happy, and through her lawyer, she appealed to a Wisconsin appellate court. And it got up to the court, and there, the insurance company on the other side that provided the workers' compensation benefits said, hang on a second. In this instance, we had good evidence at the initial application, and the good evidence at the hearing that took place was that the police chief testified that this kind of stress that she was subjected to was the kind of stress that was typical for the job. It's what goes with the territory. In addition, we had an expert in police sciences come in, and he testified that this kind of conduct, i.e. shooting someone, results in that person, particularly a gang member, threatening the police officer, threatening the police officer's family, and that basically goes with the territory. Accordingly, the kind of stress that Linda was subjected to is the kind of stress that is typical for this kind of activity, for basically working as a police officer. Well, the appellate court looked at this. They came away and said, you know what, you guys are right. Linda, you were engaged in a profession that was stressful, but the stress you had was no different than the kind of stress that typically can be encountered when working as a police officer. Therefore, we find that you are not entitled to workers' compensation benefits. Okay, so what do we learn from this case? One of the things we learned from this case is that when a claim is brought for workers' compensation based upon mental stress, anguish, post-traumatic stress syndrome, you need to be able to delineate what kind of stress goes with the territory for that particular job. Now here we saw something that was a little bit of an extreme, but every job has its stress, and every job has a certain, shall we say, threshold of stress. And many times before somebody can prevail in a workers' compensation claim, they have to show that the stress, if that's the sole purpose of their claim and sole basis of their claim, they have to show that that stress is out of the ordinary. Okay, we bring you this case. We bring cases every week so you understand how the law works. I'm David Allen.